Let's start with a story. In the 1990s, a woman named Fiona sat in her grandmother's attic, sifting through boxes of old books. She pulled out a worn copy of The Berenstain Bears and the Spooky Old Tree. But when she opened it, her blood ran cold. The title page read, Berenstain, with an A. She swore it had always been Berenstain. She called her brother, her childhood friends. They all remembered it the same way, an E, not an I. How could an entire generation misremember something so specific? This is the Mandela Effect, a phenomenon where thousands, even millions, share identical memories that contradict reality. But this isn't just about spelling. It's about the unsettling idea that the past is not as fixed as we believe, and that our minds might be collaborators in the illusion. Think of your earliest memory, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of laughter, the taste of birthday cake, how vividly you can recall it. But here's the secret, that memory isn't a recording, it's a reconstruction. Every time you revisit it, your brain tweaks details, fills gaps, smooths edges. Like a painter touching up an old canvas, you unconsciously alter the past to fit the present. Psychologists call this reconsolidation, a process where memories are rewritten with each recollection. The Fiona who found the Berenstain Bears book isn't the same Fiona who read it as a child. Her brain had edited the memory year after year until the A felt foreign, a typo in her own mind. Now consider this. If our personal memories are so fragile, what does that say about shared ones? In 2010, a viral post claimed that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s. Thousands of people, teachers, lawyers, scientists, insisted they remembered news coverage of his funeral, his widow's speech. But Mandela lived until 2013. How could so many people share the same false memory? Skeptics call it confusion, but the scale defies logic. It's as if a thread snapped in the tapestry of history, leaving a frayed edge that millions recognize. Could this be proof of something stranger, a glitch in time, a rift between realities? Or is it simply the human brain's obsession with patterns, stitching chaos into coherence? Let's pause here. I want you to try an experiment. Picture the Monopoly Man, rich Uncle Pennybags with his top hat, mustache, and monocle. Except he never had a monocle. Check the board game. Look it up. Yet, countless people vividly recall that circular lens glinting in his eye. Why? Our brains are meaning-making machines. A monocle fits the archetype of a pompous tycoon, so we slot it into the mental image. But what if it's more than that? What if these errors are echoes of another version of events, a timeline where Mandela did die in prison, where the Monopoly Man did peer through a monocle? The Mandela Effect blurs the line between imagination and reality, leaving us to wonder, are we misremembering or remembering something else entirely? Philosophers have long questioned the nature of reality. Plato's cave, Descartes' evil, demon Zhuangzi's butterfly dream, all caution us against trusting our senses. But the Mandela Effect takes this further. It's not just about doubting reality, it's about doubting ourselves. When Fiona held that book, she felt a visceral unease, as if the universe itself had gaslit her. That discomfort is the heart of the Mandela Effect. It forces us to confront a terrifying truth. We are not passive observers of our lives. We are curators, shaping the past to soothe the present. And sometimes the exhibit changes without our permission. But before we descend into existential dread, let's turn to science. In the next chapter, we'll explore how memories are formed and how easily they're corrupted. You'll discover why your brain is less like a vault and more like a game of telephone played by a billion neurons. Until then, sit with this thought. If your memories can't be trusted, what can? Let me tell you about a man named Thomas. In 1995, Thomas attended a family reunion. Over wine, his sister mentioned the time he'd gotten lost in a mall at age 6. Thomas laughed until he realized he had no memory of it. His sister described the scene, his red jacket, the toy store he wandered into, the panic on their mother's face. By the end of the night, Thomas could feel the sticky floor of that mall, smell the popcorn, hear his mother's voice calling his name. But none of it ever happened. His sister had invented the story, and within hours, Thomas's brain had woven it into his past. This is the power of false memories. They are not lies, but artifacts of a mind that sculpts truth from suggestion. Neuroscientists compare memory to a Wikipedia page. You can edit it, but so can others. In the 1970s, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus revolutionized our understanding of memory with a simple experiment. Participants watched footage of a car accident and were later asked how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other. Others were asked the same question with the verb hit. Those who heard smashed not only estimated higher speeds, but insisted, weeks later, that they'd seen broken glass in the video, which didn't exist. A single word had rewritten their memories. Loftus called this the misinformation effect. Our recollections are not archives, but living stories, reshaped by every conversation, every photograph, every fleeting thought. But how does this happen? Think of your brain as a painter. Every memory is a canvas. When you recall an event, you don't retrieve the original, you recreate it. Neurons fire in a new pattern, influenced by your current emotions, beliefs, and even the room you're sitting in. Each time you paint the memory, subtle changes occur. The blue shirt your father wore becomes green. The rainy day becomes sunny. Over years, the entire scene transforms. This is reconsolidation, the process of storing a memory anew after recalling it. In essence, you don't remember the event. You remember the last time you remembered it, like a game of telephone played with your own mind. Now, scale this up. What happens when millions of people misremember the same detail? Take the Berenstain. Bears? Those who recall an E instead of an EK often describe a visceral certainty, a residue of another reality. But science offers a less fantastical answer: schema theory. Our brains categorize information into frameworks or schemas. A bear family named Berenstain fits a common Jewish surname pattern: Einstein, Frankenstein. The unusual Berenstain disrupts that schema, so our brains auto-correct it. Similarly, Darth Vader's misquoted "Luke, I am your father" aligns with the schema of movies explicitly naming characters. Reality is bent to fit expectation. Yet there's something deeper at play. In 2015, researchers at UC Irvine found that false memories can be implanted collectively. Participants were shown a video of a crime, then exposed to fabricated details in a group discussion. Within minutes, they began citing those false details as facts, and their brains lit up in fMRI scans the same way as when recalling real memories. This social contagion of memory explains why Mandela effects spread like folklore. When one person insists the Fruit of the Loom logo had a cornucopia, others remember it too. The hive mind overrides the individual, stitching a shared hallucination. But let's return to Thomas. After that reunion, he confronted his sister. She admitted the mall story was a prank. Yet Thomas still felt the memory, the sticky floor, the panic. It lingered like a phantom limb. This is the haunting truth. False memories are indistinguishable from real ones. They light up the same brain regions, trigger the same emotions, and embed themselves just as deeply. As philosopher Paul Ricoeur wrote, "Memory is the guardian of identity, but identity is built on shifting sand. If even our past is malleable, what does that say about who we are?" In the next chapter, we'll venture beyond the brain, into quantum realms and parallel worlds. Could these collective false memories be echoes of alternate timelines? Or is the truth even stranger, that reality itself is a story we tell together? For now, hold this thought. Your mind is not a historian. It's a poet, a sculptor, a weaver of tales. And sometimes the most beautiful stories are the ones that never happened. Let me tell you about Alice. In 2017, Alice dreamt of a library, not just any library, one where every book contained a different version of her life. In one, she'd married her college sweetheart. In another, she'd become a concert pianist. But one book stood out, a world where the Kit Kat logo had a dash between Kit and Kat. When she woke, she Googled it. No dash. Yet online forums buzzed with others who'd seen it. Alice fell into a rabbit hole of questions. Could these shared memories be fragments of other realities? To answer that, we must venture into quantum physics, a realm where the impossible becomes probable and certainty dissolves like sugar in tea. In 1935, physicist Erwin Schrödinger proposed a thought experiment. A cat in a box, poisoned by a radioactive trigger, exists in a superposition, both alive and dead, until someone opens the box and observes it. This paradox reveals a core truth of quantum mechanics. Particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until measured. But what if this doesn't just apply to particles? What if entire universes branch off with every decision we make? Hugh Everett's many worlds interpretation suggests exactly that. Every choice, every coin flip, every whispered yes or no splits reality into parallel timelines. In one world, you took that job overseas. In another, you stayed. And in some, perhaps, the Berenstain Bears really were spelled with an E. Now, imagine these timelines as radio frequencies. Most are static, unheard, but sometimes signals bleed through. In 2018, a team at Chapman University studied people who claimed to recall alternate historical events like Mandela's 1980s death. While skeptics dismissed them, quantum physicist Dr. Sean Carroll proposed a radical idea. If the multiverse exists, information could theoretically tunnel between worlds. Think of it like Wi-Fi interference. Your router picks up a neighbor's signal. Your brain picks up memories from a neighboring universe. These quantum leaks might explain why so many swear they've seen C-3PO's gold leg turn silver, even though it's always been gold. But let's ground this in the Mandela Effect. Take Curious George. Many remember the mischievous monkey with a tail. But look closely. He's tailless, an ape. Why? In our timeline, his design was simplified for animation. But in another, perhaps the illustrators kept the tail. Or consider the Flintstones versus Flintstones debate. The T is there, yet countless recall it missing. Could these be cosmic typos, residues of a reality where Hanna-Barbera made different choices? Theoretical physicist Michio Kaku likens the multiverse to a vast ocean where fish in a pond unaware of the seas beyond. What we call false memories might be ripples from those distant waters. Yet science demands evidence. In 2022, quantum researchers in Switzerland observed particles behaving as if influenced by future events, a phenomenon called retrocausality. If time isn't linear, could our present minds remember future? Or parallel events? Philosopher Nick Bostrom takes this further, suggesting we might live in a simulation. If so, Mandela effects could be patches in the code, updates that overwrite collective memory. But here's the twist. Even if these theories are wrong, they reveal a profound human truth. We crave narratives that defy the mundane. It's easier to believe in glitching universes than to accept that our minds are so easily fooled. Alice still thinks about that library. She wonders if, somewhere, there's a version of her who never questioned the Kit Kat logo. A version content with reality as it is. But that's the gift and curse of the Mandela Effect. It forces us to ask, are we the authors of our lives or merely characters in a story written by countless cosmic hands? As we drift deeper into this mystery, remember Schrödinger's cat. Until the box is opened, all possibilities exist. Perhaps the same is true of our pasts. In the next chapter, we'll explore how these quantum whispers become collective roars, how social media, folklore, and the hive mind transform personal doubts into shared realities. But for now, let the uncertainty linger. After all, the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you, and that's what makes it sublime. In 1994, a rumor began circulating about a forgotten 1990s comedy called Shazam, starring Sinbad as a genie. Posters, plot details, and even fake VHS covers surfaced online. Thousands claim to have watched it, recalling specific scenes, jokes, and the neon glow of Sinbad's costume. But the film never existed. Sinbad himself tweeted, "I ain't never been no genie." Yet the myth persisted. How does a fiction become a collective memory? The answer lies in the hive mind, a force that binds us, comforts us, and sometimes deceives us. Plato's cave has a modern counterpart, the digital echo chamber. Here, algorithms feed us reflections of our own beliefs, and social media groups become chambers where whispers amplify into roars. When one person misremembers the Shazam movie, others nod in recognition. Doubters stay silent, fearing exclusion. Psychologist Solomon Asch revealed this instinct in the 1950s. In his experiments, participants denied obvious truths, like the length of a line, to conform with a group. Today, this Asch effect mutates online. A single Reddit post becomes a chorus of "I remember too," and fiction hardens into fact. But conformity is only part of the story. Consider the Salem witch trials. In 1692, fear of the supernatural spread like a virus. Neighbors accused neighbors, and soon, entire towns saw specters and hexes. Historian Linda Caparael later attributed this hysteria to ergot poisoning, a mold that causes hallucinations. Yet the real horror wasn't the mold. It was how fear became collective reality. Fast forward to 2016. Pizzagate conspiracy theorists, armed with internet lore, stormed a DC pizzeria, convinced it hid a child trafficking ring. No evidence existed, but in the hive mind, suspicion became certainty. Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of archetypes and myths. The genie, the witch, the hero, they live in our stories, waiting to be summoned. When Sinbad wore a striped shirt in a 1994 TV promo for Sinbad the Sailor, the brain's pattern-matching machinery fused it with Kazam, the real Shaquille O'Neal genie film. Jung's archetypes filled the gaps, birthing Shazam, the hive. Mind doesn't just share memories, it dreams them into being. Technology accelerates this alchemy. A 2023 MIT study found that false news spreads 6 times faster on Twitter than truth. Each retweet is a vote for an alternate reality. Mandela Effects thrive here. Doesn't Pikachu have a black-tipped tail? It doesn't. Wasn't there a cornucopia in Fruit of the Loom? Never. These aren't mere mistakes, they're collaborative fiction written by millions. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned of the herd mentality, where individuals surrender critical thought to the crowd. In the digital age, the herd has global reach. Visuals, a flock of sheep scrolling through phones, their screens reflecting identical memes. Yet there's a paradox. The hive mind craves belonging but breeds isolation. Those who question Shazam are ostracized. Dissenters become deniers. In 2018, a woman named Emily left an online Mandela Effect group after insisting the Monopoly man never had a monocle. She received threats. "It's like they needed me to be wrong," she said. This is Plato's cave in reverse, prisoners punishing those who cling to shadows, afraid the light will dissolve their shared fantasy. Perhaps the Mandela Effect is a mirror. It shows us how desperately we seek connection, even if it means surrendering truth. As we float into the final chapter, ask yourself, is reality a fact or a referendum? And if the hive mind votes against, you Who do you trust, the world or your own fragile memory? In 2019, a woman named Maya lay in a hospital bed, recovering from a car accident. When she awoke, she described a memory, sitting on a porch swing as a child, eating peaches with her mother. The problem? Maya's mother died when she was 2. The peaches, the swing, the dappled sunlight, all fabrications. Yet to Maya, they felt more real than the sterile room around her. Her doctors called it confabulation, a mind-stitching fiction to fill gaps in trauma. But Maya called it a gift. Maybe the universe gave me a memory I needed, she said. This is where our journey ends. Not with answers, but with a question. What if the Mandela Effect isn't a glitch but a feature, a reminder that reality is not a puzzle to solve, but a poem to feel? Philosophers have danced around this truth for millennia. Zhuangzi wondered if he was a man dreaming of a butterfly or a butterfly dreaming of a man. Nietzsche declared there are no facts, only interpretations. Even modern neuroscience concedes we do not experience the world as it is. Our brains filter, distort, and hallucinate reality into being. The Mandela Effect is merely a spotlight on this eternal riddle. When thousands recall the fruit of the loom cornucopia, they are not wrong. They are human, pattern-seeking animals, weaving meaning from noise, finding comfort in shared myths. Consider the thinker. Auguste Rodin's statue is famously fist to chin, but many remember the fist pressed to the forehead. Art historians blame pop culture parodies. But what if it's deeper? The forehead gesture symbolizes inner turmoil, a universal archetype of contemplation. Our minds correct the statue to match the symbol. This is the alchemy of memory. We don't store facts, we encode essences. The Mandela Effect reveals that essence is fluid, shaped by culture, yearning, and the silent pull of collective storytelling. Now, step back, look at the tapestry. The Berenstain Bears, Shazam, Mandela's death. These threads are not errors. They're proof of our creativity, our hunger to belong, our refusal to accept that life is a random accident in a cold cosmos. The Mandela Effect is modern mythology. It asks us to see memory not as a record, but as a ritual, a way to gather around digital campfires and whisper, "Do you remember too?" In that question lies our humanity, flawed, hopeful, bound by stories. In his final days, physicist Stephen Hawking was asked, "What is the greatest mystery in the universe?" He replied, "A consciousness, that a pile of atoms can wonder about itself." The Mandela Effect is part of that wonder. When you misremember the Monopoly Man's monocle, you are not failing. You are succeeding at being human, at sculpting order from chaos, at finding kinship in shared uncertainty. The monocle was never real, but the connection it forged between strangers, that is as real as starlight. So tonight, as you drift into sleep, let go of the need to know. Imagine your memories as fireflies in a jar, some true, some borrowed, all beautiful. The universe is not a machine. It is a symphony, and dissonance is part of the music. The Mandela Effect is not proof your mind is broken. It's proof that you are alive, curious, and unafraid to ask, what if? And in that question, you touch eternity. Thank you for wandering these mysteries with me. Wherever your dreams take you tonight, remember, reality is not a cage, it's a canvas. And you, dear viewer, are both the artist and the art.